morning, intuitives. Figured I'd get a video done this morning before I have to go to work, even though I almost didn't because I'm feeling a little lazy. But nevertheless, here I am. This one is going to be an INFJ video because I haven't done one of those in, I guess, about a week now. And it's going to be something that all INFJs do. We're aware we do it, and other people can clearly see when we're doing it. It's blatantly obvious when we are expressing this particular facial expression, and that is brooding. As INFJs, we brood. We brood alone, we brood in public, we brood in a dark room. Brooding is a big part of being an INFJ, and I'm going to get into why that is and, a little bit how it differs from overthinking. So with INFJ overthinking, you could be overthinking about anything. It doesn't necessarily have to be something that you're upset about, something where your mind's going back and forth trying to figure out why this happened, if there's any meaning behind it. You could be overthinking about something good that happened, and be overthinking in the sense that this is too good to be true. Where's the catch? Where's the catch? When's Mephistopheles going to appear to, make me sign that Faustian bargain? This can't be happening, to me because it's something good, and especially if you're an INFJ raised by narcissists, as I said in my last video, you feel you are basically taught your whole life as if that you're not allowed to ask for anything. So, brooding, we all do it. As INFJs, I've talked in other videos about how much our sense of purpose is important to us, and when that is taken from us, it could leave us pretty empty. And same goes for our quest for our blue rose, that unconditional love that is ever so elusive in today's world, and especially in a context where you feel as if there's no hope for that and you don't want to try anymore. If you're trapped in a environment and around types of people that are shallow and debaucherous and you want nothing to do with them, it can send you into a brooding mood because you may feel like, there's no hope. Why try? Like you feel like you're just imprisoned and trying to escape into your own mind. So, brooding is typically dark. A lot of times when an INFJ is brooding, they are brooding about, a lot of times it's something negative that happened that the INFJ had very little or no control over, and you're wondering, why this happened, why it took place. It actually, would shatter you to your core. Brooding typically occurs over events and things that aren't easily fixed. It's not something as simple as misunderstanding what somebody said, or somebody giving you false information that isn't true or only partially true. It's typically over things that cannot be repaired. Some things can't be undone. So the brooding would take place in response to something like that, where the INFJ, who is shattered to their core, has to somehow try to pick up the pieces and figure out how to carry on, because in a lot of times if an INFJ is brooding, something that they've been planning for a long period of time, usually that was right at the precipice of falling into place, usually in the 11th hour, will all fall to hell. And because, INFJs, we plan everything, we always have contingency plans, but when a plan is that close to fruition where, you reach out and you can touch the finish line, you think you're home free, and when it falls apart at this stage, it can lead you into that brooding, fuck the world mentality, why try, it's all rigged, and send you into that brooding mindset where you feel all hope is lost for you, and, the only, essentially a lot of times, your first response when you're brooding is going to be, well, this is irreparable for me, but how can I take vengeance? And I already did a video on INFJ vengeance, and brooding doesn't have to be silent. I mean, yeah, of course our go-to will be to isolate ourselves, but how many times INFJs Have you been forced to be social when you didn't want to be social? And then, you're trying at this social function to keep yourself best you can. And, people are coming up to you going, why do you have your look on that face? Or the baby boomer favorite. You wouldn't like it if your face froze like that. Smile, smile. Like, go, pretend to be, somebody you're not and fit in and play the keeping up with the Joneses high school culture game. It's interesting how, extroverts, some types of extroverts really hate INFJs and want us to be extroverts and fit in, even though, they expect us to be able to like act and play a role of somebody we're not, even though INFJs are not natural actors and terrible liars in most cases. So that's almost funny. So when you're brooding, understand that, or people around an INFJ, if you're watching this and you're not an INFJ, which probably, not many of you, but if an INFJ is brooding, it's usually over something major. An INFJ is not going to brood over something like trivial and superficial, like, oh, I didn't, the the sale at the store is over. I'm not going to get my TV for 10% off, kind of thing. Whereas shallow, superficial people will, the slightest, well, the ones that consider themselves godlike, like baby boomer supremacists, the slightest inconvenience will send them in the histrionics. Like the poor millionaire boomer whose 30-year-old garage door opener broke and she had to spend $200 to fix it. Have you ever heard of such a travesty? How this was not made into a Hallmark movie yet? I mean, I guess there's no understanding those people in Hollywood, right? I mean, because this is a tragedy on par with Pearl Harbor, because it happened to a boomer. It's not about what happens; it's about who it happens to. And some people just aren't supposed to feel even an ounce of pain. Yeah, yeah, little hyperbole there, but not much. Like I said, for an INFJ, when you're brooding, it'll be over something that isn't easily fixed, that perhaps can't even be fixed, or if it can, it's something that would take a very long time to put the pieces back together. It's not something that, you know, uh, can be fixed in a few days with a few $100s that just about anybody could do. Uh, there's that profound sense of loss when an INFJ is brooding, because you're not only brooding about the actual event that caused everything to fall apart, but you're brooding over the loss of what either was, or the path you were going down, or what could have been, i.e., like when things are just falling into place. And a lot of times in INFJ, everything was riding on that. Perhaps, the thing that just fell apart was the thing they've been waiting for their whole life that would get them out of a shitty situation. And it's taken years to get them to that point. And now it's all fallen to hell, and, you're back at square one again. And the situation that you're trapped in that you thought you were going to escape has already pushed you beyond the edge. And you're brooding because you know yourself, as the INFJ, that you don't have it in you to do like another 2-3 year campaign to rebuild that. Like your sanity just won't last that long. You're surprised how you're holding on now. You can't possibly put up with the shitty status quo that you're dealing with for that much of an extended amount of time. So some of the brooding can even be silent screaming in your mind, like, what the fuck am I gonna do now? What's the point of even trying? Like, as I said, the game's rigged. Who did this to me? I'm going to make them pay, kind of thing. But if an INFJ is brooding alone, you are to leave the INFJ alone. And that's something else that pisses me off about extroverts when they see a brooding INFJ. If the INFJ is sitting quietly by themselves, they're not bothering you. Like, I love how the narcissist would be like, wow, you're bringing down the mood of the party. It's like, go do another Xanax, you fucking baby boomer scumbag, or are you gonna go snort some more coke and pretend you're 25 and not 60 because you're the ageless gods apparently. If somebody's upset but they're by themselves, just leave them the fuck alone. You can't force somebody to be happy and when they're not. And to expect that is just sick and narcissistic. But of course, the people that do that think the world all revolves around them, and that everybody connected to them is a reflection on them and, their greatness. I know I've added some narcissism into this video, but a lot's been going on, so it's been on my mind. So brooding INFJs, best bet, if you think you can't pull yourself out of that brooding mood, just find somewhere quiet to be alone and don't tell anybody you're there. You know, that's the best solution short term. Maybe you'll work out something in your head. You'll probably go into an NITI loop, but sometimes you can think your way out of it. It doesn't always work that way. Just know that it is a big part of being an INFJ, and it's very common for us to be brooding in the right circumstances. So remember, to trust your intuition. If you're in a brooding mood and you feel like you need to be alone, be alone. And, don't sell out your integrity to try to be something you're not when you're brooding just because some narcissist is telling you you have to. Call the narcissist out for what they are, fucking narcissists.